Welcome back to Walking Tall, Talking Bold. I'm Leah, and today we're stepping into a conversation that is uncomfortable, layered, emotional, and long overdue. We're talking about something many people recognize, but few know how to say it out loud. The quiet, socially accepted barter system that still shapes so many interactions between men and women, not always openly, not always consciously, and not always maliciously, but it exists. It's the idea that a woman's beauty, attention, affection, sexuality, or intimacy can be exchanged for security, opportunities, gifts, validation, status, comfort, or even just decent treatment. Sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's blatant, sometimes it's dressed up as romance, sometimes it's framed as empowerment, and sometimes it's so normalized that people don't even realize they're participating in it. Today, I want to explore this from every angle, psychologically, historically, culturally, and personally, because this isn't just about sex. It's about conditioning. It's about power. It's about self-worth. It's about what women have been taught to believe their value is and what men have been taught to expect in return for what they give. And let me be clear from the start. This is not about shaming women. It is not about policing women's choices. And it is definitely not about denying sexual agency. Women have the right to do what they want with their bodies, their relationships, and their lives. This conversation is about awareness, because if we're participating in a system we haven't fully examined, then we're not fully choosing it. And when something is normalized for so long that it starts to feel natural, that's exactly when we need to stop and ask, who does this actually serve? If these conversations are the kind you want more of, honest, thought-provoking, and unafraid to challenge the script, subscribe to Walking Tall, Talking Bold. This space is for people who are ready to think deeper, stand taller, and speak with courage. Are you ready? Let's dive into the realities of the sex barter system. Let's call this what it often is, an exchange. A woman offers beauty, flirtation, emotional labor, attention, sexual access, or physical intimacy. A man offers money, gifts, protection, provision, opportunity, social status, or commitment. Now, some people will hear that and immediately say, that's too cynical. That's not what relationships are. And to be fair, not all relationships work that way. Healthy love is not a transaction. Genuine generosity is not a contract. Desire is not a debt. Care is not supposed to be a currency exchange. But if we're honest, many people are not operating from that ideal. They're operating from scripts, learned scripts. And one of the oldest scripts in human society is this: men provide, women reward. That reward might be attention. It might be compliance. It might be admiration. It might be sex. And because it's wrapped in dating culture, marriage norms, beauty standards, and social expectations, people often don't call it transactional. They call it normal. That's where things get dangerous. Because when a transaction is disguised as romance, it becomes harder to identify coercion, pressure, resentment, entitlement, and self-betrayal. A gift stops being a gift if it comes with an unspoken invoice. A favor stops being kindness if repayment is expected through intimacy. And sex stops being fully free when it is being used, consciously or unconsciously, as social currency. That doesn't mean every exchange is forced. It doesn't mean every woman is a victim. It doesn't mean every man is manipulative, but it does mean we need the courage to ask whether some of what we call chemistry, attraction, partnership, or how relationships work is actually negotiation under another name. Let's take a look at why this has such a hold on us, and this is where the psychological part matters. because people do not just wake up one day and decide, I'm going to treat my body or affection like a bargaining chip. Most of the time, this is learned early, reinforced often, and rewarded socially. Many girls grow up absorbing messages like, be pretty, be desirable, be chosen, be accommodating, be worth investing in. And at the same time, many boys grow up learning a different set of messages. Earn more, lead, pursue, provide, prove your value through what you can give or buy. So then what happens? Women may learn that desirability is power. Men may learn that provision earns access. That becomes the social contract, even when nobody says it out loud. Psychologically, this can feel empowering at first. If a woman has learned that her sexuality gets her attention, opportunities, affirmation, or leverage, then of course she may use it. Why wouldn't she? Especially in a world that has spent centuries limiting women's access to power in other forms. When traditional systems deny you direct power, indirect power starts to look like freedom. But indirect power comes with a cost, because power that depends on being wanted is unstable. Power that depends on pleasing others is conditional. Power that depends on staying desirable is fragile. And power that can be withdrawn the moment you stop performing is not true power at all. This is one of the deepest psychological traps in the barter system. It can feel like control while quietly eroding autonomy. A woman may think, I know how to play the game. But the deeper question is, who created the game and who benefits most when women keep playing it? To understand why this system persists, we have to understand where it came from. Historically, women were denied equal access to property, education, wages, political power, inheritance, legal independence, and bodily autonomy. In many societies, marriage was not just romantic, it was economic survival. A woman's security often depended on attaching herself to a man who could provide shelter, legitimacy, and protection. In that kind of system, beauty, fertility, youth, obedience, and sexual exclusivity became assets. Not because women were shallow, not because women were manipulative, because under unequal systems, people adapt. If a society blocks women from owning power directly, many will learn to negotiate through the forms of value society still gives them access to. That adaptation made sense in many historical contexts. It was survival. It was strategy. It was sometimes the only available leverage in a deeply unequal world. But survival strategies do not automatically become healthy relationship models. That's the part many people miss. What once emerged from economic dependency can survive long after conditions begin to change. Cultural habits outlive the systems that produced them. Stories get passed down, expectations get inherited, gender performances get romanticized. And before long, women who are financially independent, educated, and fully capable are still acting out scripts written for a world in which they were not free. That is why progress on paper does not always become freedom in practice. You can have modern women with old programming. You can have independence with inherited conditioning. You can have choice without full awareness. And awareness is everything. So, why do people subscribe to this idea? Let's dive in even deeper. People subscribe to this system because it often works in the short term. It can get results, it can get attention, it can get gifts, it can get access, it can get commitment, it can get a lifestyle, it can get validation, and beyond material things, it can also offer psychological comfort. It can provide a sense of influence in situations where a person otherwise feels powerless. It can seem safer to be desired than to be deeply known. It can feel easier to negotiate through charm than to risk direct communication, rejection, or vulnerability. Some women internalize the idea that this is simply smart, practical, strategic, even feminine. Some men internalize the idea that providing materially should earn them admiration, loyalty, sexual access, or emotional compliance. Both sides can become trapped in an arrangement that looks mutual on the surface, but is quietly distorting intimacy underneath. Because once exchange becomes the hidden foundation, sincerity gets harder to find. Did he do this because he cares or because he expects access? Did she say yes because she wanted to or because she felt obligated? Is this generosity or is this leverage? Is this intimacy or is this compensation? When a relationship becomes a marketplace, both people lose something human. Men may lose the ability to give without expecting a return. Women may lose the ability to receive without feeling indebted. Both may lose the chance to build real trust. One of the biggest problems is not just that this dynamic exists, it's that it's often normalized, joked about, glamorized, and woven into everyday language. You've probably heard versions of it. He took me shopping, so I have to make it worth his while. If he pays for everything, you know what comes next. I'm wearing this so I can get what I want. He better earn it. She knows how to use what she's got. People say these things casually, like they're harmless, like they're just part of the dance between men and women. But language reveals belief, and belief shapes behavior. When we normalize the idea that female sexuality is a bargaining tool, we reduce something deeply personal into something performative and strategic. We teach women to detach from their own desire and ask instead, what can this get me? We teach men to interpret generosity as investment and intimacy as payout. That is not liberation. That is conditioning with better branding. And when this becomes culturally accepted, it can blur the lines around consent in troubling ways. Not legal consent necessarily, but internal consent. The kind that asks, is this truly what I want, or am I responding to pressure, expectation, guilt, or reward? A person can say yes and still feel internally disconnected. A person can participate willingly and still be operating from conditioning rather than authentic desire. A person can benefit from a dynamic and still be harmed by what it teaches them about their worth. That's why this conversation matters. Let's talk about the psychology of normalizing it. 1. It ties worth to desirability. When women are taught, directly or indirectly, that their value lies in what they can evoke in men, their self-worth can become dangerously externalized. Aging becomes threatening. Weight changes become terrifying. Rejection becomes identity-level pain. Attention becomes proof of value. That is a brutal way to live, because then your worth is never yours. It's rented from other people's desire. Next, it weakens authentic consent. If intimacy is linked to reward, repayment, guilt, peacekeeping, or securing resources, then desire can get replaced by obligation. A woman may stop asking herself, do I want this? And start asking, is this expected of me? That shift is psychologically costly. Over time, it can create resentment, numbness, confusion, and disconnection from the body. 3. It reinforces unequal gender roles. Even when dressed up as modern dating, this system can keep old hierarchies alive. Men become wallets, performers, providers. Women become prizes, gatekeepers, or commodities. Neither role is fully human. Both are limiting. 4. It creates manipulative relationship patterns. Where there is unspoken exchange, there is often unspoken scorekeeping. One partner feels owed, the other feels pressured. Both may become less honest. Needs go underground. Power struggles replace communication. And lastly, it can distort women's sense of agency. Using sexuality strategically can feel like agency, but if it's the main available tool a woman feels she has, then that's not full freedom. That's adaptation inside constraint. True agency means you can say yes without strategy, no without punishment, receive without debt, and give without bargaining. This part matters deeply. There is a crucial difference between conscious choice and conditioned participation. If an adult woman knowingly decides to exchange sex or erotic labor for money, gifts, or lifestyle support, that is her decision. Moral opinions may vary, but the point here is not to shame women for making informed choices about their own bodies and survival. The concern is what happens when women are participating in transactional dynamics without naming them, questioning them, or understanding their emotional costs, because hidden transactions are often more dangerous than explicit ones. At least explicit transactions are honest. It's the disguised ones that create confusion. The dinner that becomes an expectation, the gift that becomes leverage, the marriage where affection becomes payment, the relationship where sex becomes a duty in exchange for peace, support, or approval. When people cannot name the exchange, they also struggle to name the pressure. And when they cannot name the pressure, they are more likely to betray themselves while calling it normal. So no, this is not about blaming women. It's about inviting women to become more conscious of the systems they were trained to survive within. Let's flip the perspective for a moment. If a man buys a woman something thoughtful and she responds with gratitude, appreciation, affection, and kindness, that makes sense. That's human reciprocity. But if the unspoken expectation is physical intimacy, sexual access, or bodily availability, then we are no longer talking about gratitude. We are talking about entitlement. And here's another question. If a woman did something generous for a man, paid his bills, helped him professionally, bought him expensive gifts, would she automatically expect sex in return? Some might, but socially, that expectation would be viewed as aggressive, inappropriate, or transactional much faster than the reverse. That double standard reveals the old script underneath the modern language. It exposes how deeply we have normalized the idea that a woman's body is part of the exchange economy. And if we are serious about equality, that should concern us. Reclaiming control does not mean rejecting romance, generosity, attraction, or traditional dynamics if those are genuinely chosen. It means removing coercion, performance, and unspoken debt from the equation. It means asking harder questions. Am I doing this because I want to or because I feel I should? Do I feel free to say no? Do I believe I have value beyond being desired? Do I know how to receive kindness without feeling I owe access to my body? Am I choosing this dynamic or inheriting it? Real power is not in being able to trade yourself well. Real power is in not needing to trade yourself at all. Real power is choice without fear, desire without pressure, generosity without strings, intimacy without debt, partnership without performance. That is a much deeper kind of freedom than simply learning how to negotiate within a flawed system. Sometimes what society calls empowerment is just adaptation made glamorous. That doesn't mean every woman who plays this game is weak. Quite the opposite. Many women become incredibly skilled at navigating systems that were never designed fairly for them. The issue is not intelligence. The issue is what repeated participation teaches the next generation. If young girls grow up watching women gain influence mainly through beauty, desirability, seduction, or strategic intimacy, They may start to believe that their bodies are their main source of power. And if young boys grow up watching men gain access through spending, status, or provision, they may start to believe affection can be earned like a purchase. That harms everyone, because then girls learn performance before selfhood, boys learn entitlement before emotional maturity, and genuine connection becomes harder for both. We should be asking for more than a polished version of an old bargain. So, are we trading ourselves away? Sometimes, yes. Not always literally. Not always intentionally. Not always knowingly. But anytime a woman feels she must exchange access to herself for safety, approval, opportunity, gifts, peace, or love, we should not rush to call that empowerment just because it is common. Common does not mean healthy. Normalized does not mean harmless. And profitable does not mean freeing. The point of this conversation is not to create shame. It is to create clarity. Because once you see the script, you can decide whether you still want to perform it. And that is where change begins. If this episode challenged you, stirred something in you, or put language to something you felt but never fully named, subscribe to Walking Tall, Talking Bold with Leah. This channel is for bold conversations about womanhood, culture, power, relationships, identity, and the truths too many people are afraid to say plainly. Subscribe, share this episode with someone who needs to hear it, and join me for the next conversation. Because we're not here to shrink ourselves to fit old systems. We're here to examine them, question them, and rise beyond them. Until next time, keep walking tall and talking bold.